I think the younger generation is most resistant to the cynicism that seems to be infecting a lot of our society right now. And I think when policymakers can sit with young people who still have high expectations of what we should accomplish here in Washington, it's a good lesson for the policymakers.
I can probably spend the rest of the day talking about his accomplishments, but one of the things, a few things that I would like to point out, that he's extremely interested in education. He's extremely interested in the youth of America in terms of getting that education and coming up with the innovation that they can come up with. And he talks about how we can energize and live in a green world. So with much ado, I would like to welcome Congressman Sarbanes to come up here and say a few words. Please give him a big round of applause. Thank you.
There was a couple of things I wanted to talk about. First of all, I wanted to give you a sense of what I believe the overarching narrative is right now for where our country needs to go. I'm very much convinced that that narrative, that theme that we have to pursue is the notion that we're rebuilding our country. That the United States of America has to engage in a sustained program and effort to rebuild America. The physical infrastructure is obviously a key element of rebuilding the country. But there's other dimensions as well, and they don't maybe get the same attention. We can also think in terms of human infrastructure, right? So that's investing in the human capital of our country to make sure that that's strong. There's a third piece I like to talk about. You don't hear this phrase very much. I call it civic infrastructure. And this is about how we make communities strong, how we make the fabric, the social fabric of our society strong and durable so that it can respond to the need of everybody for opportunity in this country. There's all these different pressures which could very easily excuse the natural impulse on the part of people to turn inwards instead of reaching out beyond themselves and trying to build a better society. And what I want to congratulate you on is that you're resisting that impulse to turn inwards, and you're insisting that you learn more about your opportunities for civic engagement to be part of the life of the broader community. There are three ways that I observe, and I'll close with this, that I observe that strong ethnic communities succeed in the United States and contribute in the United States. The first is to find a way to reach for excellence, and you're doing that. Some of the most impressive young people I've ever had the privilege to meet are young Pakistani Americans. The second dimension is that you make sure you keep your own community strong, that you give back to your own community out of that pride that comes from a particular heritage. But the third piece, which is the most important, is the notion of giving back to the broader society. And I have to salute this community because my experience in Maryland has been that the Pakistani American community has stepped out time and time again to contribute to efforts that benefit the larger Maryland community, and I know this is happening across the country. I congratulate you on being here. I congratulate you on the high expectations you have of us, and I hope you'll continue to have those. So thank you all very much for the opportunity to speak with you.
I think this is a very important effort. I think it's essential that the youth of our country, in this case Pakistani American youth, see their government in action and recognize how important it is to participate in the decisions of the country.
I am given the task of introducing Chris Van Hollen. Now, people from Maryland, he doesn't need an introduction to all of us. John just told everyone that he's on the super committee, which is really making the decisions for the nation. And apart from that, he was elected into office in 2001, and since then, up till now, he is working diligently in Congressional District 8 of Maryland, which is incidentally our district also. And a lot of people over here that I see are from those districts. All the kids are, majority of them are from that district also. A very special connection of Pakistan that we should be very proud of is that he was born in Karachi, Pakistan. So he's a Pakistani basically. Our Congressman, Hollen.
Thank you very much. The area that I want to focus on is the one that John Sarbanes was talking about, and that a lot of folks in this room, I think, have also spent a lot of time focusing on recently, which is participation in civic life. Because I agree with Congressman Sarbanes that everybody needs to, of course, focus on individual achievement. And getting that good education is absolutely essential to doing that. And that's something that's shared by all communities. That has to be a common ethic of everybody. Number two, I do think it's important for communities to maintain connection with their heritage and traditions. But third, and this is what I want to talk about a little more, is the importance of involvement in civic life in your communities and in the political life of the country. And that is something where you, as young people, can make a difference today, and by increasing participation, are going to be the people who write the future of this country through the decisions you make now. I urge all of you, as you gather here in Washington, in the nation's capital, in the United States Congress, to talk about the ambitions, fulfilling the ambitions of young people in the Pakistani-American community, that you commit yourself to participating in that political process, because we're counting on you together with your peers and other communities around the country to make sure that this country maintains that dynamism that has made it so great and has made it successful. There's no guarantee that happens. It doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. And those are the kind of decisions and choices that you'll be making in the future as we go forward. So I would say that the Pakistani-American community is obviously ideally situated to being sort of our ambassadors in many ways to Pakistan. I've been very involved in trying to strengthen the relations between the United States and the Pakistani people over a long period of time. Obviously, as John Sarbanes indicated, there are ups and downs in any bilateral relationship, and there have been some tough times recently with respect to U.S.-Pakistani relationships, but those are government-to-government relationships. What we should make sure that we focus on, regardless of the particular tone of relations between governments at any one time, is building that relationship between people-to-people relationships. And so Pakistani-American community obviously has a very important role, or could exercise a very important role in that respect. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today, and again, I will try to answer any questions you have. Thanks a lot.
And what I want to say to your audience now is that passion matters, and what you do for a living should come from inside of your heart, and you should work very hard to advocate for who you are and do the best job that you can.
When you meet with youth in these different countries, how are their attitudes towards different issues and world issues?
A lot of young Muslims tell me about the stereotypes they feel that are being executed upon them. The combination of I don't know, misunderstanding and not enough education on what Al-Qaeda and their affiliates use in the name, their ideology in the name of Islam versus the religion of Islam. They're very concerned that more hasn't been done globally to pull apart those two things. They're very concerned that they're going to be stereotyped and pigeonholed like all Muslims are the same. And so when I talk to a young person in Africa or South Asia or Southeast Asia, they want to talk about their own identity in a very particular way, and that they want to understand that there's beauty in diversity. And we get that as Americans and we understand how important it is. But you cannot paint all Muslims with one brush and assume that everybody is the same. We have to understand the nuances and the texture. Just the same way within a country, we understand that an Islamabad is not a Lahore, that a San Francisco is obviously not a Toledo. How is it that we think about these different countries and the things that are taking place? I would finally tell you that there's a lot of misunderstanding across the board about quote-unquote the West. And that's the case for many reasons. But one of the things that's very hard for me is that with the things that are taking place in Europe right now, the conversations that have been heated, there are some very important votes that have taken place and laws that have been passed. Many of these young Muslims around the world think that America is just like every other European country. And by the way, Europe is not the same. Belgium is not in Italy. They have different issues that are going on around similar themes. But they often ask me what it means to be an American and be a Muslim. Are you allowed to practice your faith freely? Are there mosques in America? Can people cover themselves if they want to? So those kinds of very basic questions are raised all the time because there's a conflation between all countries in the West. So thank you for that.